That's funny. These people totally lied.
Well, bad
Oh, they had a bad time.
You fucking liar.
You're
a liar.
Whatever, dude.
You can't do anything. It's humans.
What am I gonna do?
I know.
Reply to them on Yelp that.
There's some people that do that.
Yeah, I know. And look how well it doesn't work out for them. Does not work out for them at all.
That's funny. That's a good topic to open up with because I was reading something. So, Food Junkie Radio episode, I think 49.
49? Okay, you counted. Okay.
Yeah, I did some editing. I lost my fucking hard drive yesterday. Or not lost it, it fucking broke. So everything that I've done for the last 10 years is
gone.
Up for grabs. I'm trying to fix it, but it doesn't look like
Good luck.
Yeah. But anyways, so on to that, what you're talking about. You just got a shitty Yelp.
Oh, just literally this second, just got a shitty
Questionable Yelp, right? Questionable?
Well, I mean, they definitely had a bad time. I knew that they had a bad time when they got up and left.
Oh, but, you could remember this table.
Oh, I know exactly what table it was. Okay. And it sounds like there was definitely some of our fault. But it's always funny to me when I see the bad reviews, how much more embellishment there is.
Of course.
But and then like when you see the good reviews, it makes you feel happy. But they're generally shorter than the bad one, but it just proves that idiotism again of like one bad experience, someone will tell 100 people. If someone has a good experience, they might tell 1 or 2 people. I don't know why we're always so focused on negative things and celebrating negativity, but. You can see my reaction right now is like, look, man, you had a bad time. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, unfortunately, because I just couldn't. There was another owner there who did. All I can ask of anyone who has a bad time is that they, at some point, find it in themselves to give me another shot. And if they don't want to give me another shot, I'm not going to blame them. But, I just have to shrug it off.
Yeah.
I just have to move forward, right? What am I going to do? Just spiral down and just close the restaurant because one person had a bad time?
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm upset that they had a bad time, but I'm not. You can't just like lose control. You got to figure out how to move forward and set up whatever system in place, or is the place just not for them? Was it not their expectations? Whatever the problem is, you try and figure it out and diagnose how you can do something against it or preventative for it. And if the reason they had a bad time is something that you believe is correct, then you just have to stay with your beliefs. You gotta have thick skin for sure.
Well, shit, you can only do it in a certain time frame because you're helping people and you're servicing people, at your restaurant day in and day out.
Yeah.
So that happens. All the questions are right, but you're trying to analyze it also in real time where I'm also doing a million things.
Yeah.
And as those things happen, that's how it works.
And I make mistakes too.
Of course.
And my servers make mistakes and the other owners, people make mistakes, and all I can tell people is please give me another chance, have a little patience. That's why one of my things is always like, have some patience and, take a second to breathe. Is it really that bad of a situation, or is it just bad and they can still be helped forward? Or, maybe it was so bad that they just, that's truly how they feel. But I can't linger on stuff like that. You go crazy if you just linger. So,
how were these situations dealt with before Yelp?
That's so great. I do not know. Did you just tell a million people that you had a bad time? Like everyone you walk past? I don't know.
Well, you would tell people, but I mean, that reaches how many?
The person said on their way out, as a threat, I'm gonna, we're just like, okay.
Of course.
It is interesting. That's a good question. How was this stuff dealt with before Yelp? Because it's now that's the biggest threat. Or the customers see that as such a big threat. Oh, I'm going to leave you a negative Yelp review. And for me, I'm just okay, I do not care. Go ahead.
It's the only voice for that person or those people, the diners that do feel. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for comments, obviously in lieu of an experience at a restaurant. But it's just fascinating that
it's weird the power dynamic,
and
the perception of the power dynamic that the customer has in association with Yelp as the tool for it. I don't know. I don't get it. I would rather just tell the place that I had a bad time, and you know, I have my little rules that I go by. If I don't like a place the first time, I just assume they were on an off day or something happened, because I'm so frequently on the other side. I know how easily you can have a bad day, or something just is like fighting you all day. Like, I get that. It's not an excuse for that you're allowed to just be bad, but I'll give you one free pass, and then I'll go again when I get a chance. And then if it's bad the second time, then I'm like, all right, there's probably something systemic here, or maybe they truly did have 2 bad days in a row that I came. But then I usually like wait a period of time, and then if I go a third time later and it's bad again, then I'm like, this place is just bad, or not for me. It is usually how I tell people. I'm like, you know, that place is just not for me. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just not for me.
What do you think one of the more common situations that you would read on a Yelp that usually end up being on Yelp? Because those reviews are, you know, I don't ever, you know, read them in depth, but I have read some, you know, and to me, I'm like, you know, I'm just kind of like, I don't know who this person is. What's their history? There's so many different questions, but
for me, or for just Yelp in general?
Even you, but if both, yourself, and then what you notice that you read in response.
I would say the most common thing I notice on the negative Yelp reviews for us, you usually deal with some kind of, they're talking about how like casual it is. I think people, especially with Italian food, kind of like build the menu, build the experience in their head of what they're accustomed, and we're a little bit different than that. I mean, we definitely do high quality food from scratch, all that, but I don't have like chicken Milanese or veal cutlet or the standards. I don't give out free bread, you know, and then our style of service is very casual. You know, and like, we're gonna talk to the regulars while we're there, because it helps build the familiar feeling in the building, and it definitely helps us like have repeat customers to the max. It's a little unusual for sure. I imagine for a new customer to come and be like, why is that server like sitting down talking to those people? Like, I need water this second. And it's like, don't worry, like, we're gonna get you your water, you know, but we're also gonna, like, when we get to you, you're gonna have that same experience of like, you're gonna feel like you're in our home. But to do that takes a little bit of extra time at each table, which I'm totally for that, and I'm not gonna change. So when I see reviews like that, I kind of have to just like brush them off, because I've made the decision that that's what I want. And so if that's what I want, I believe that enough people are gonna like it. Not everybody, but enough. What I see at other places,
like for you personally, what is like,
what's a bad thing for me? I think if the food's bad, that's a huge misstep, because there's so many opportunities to correct. And when I say like, is the food bad, I'm like, is it like severely oversalted? Is it cold? You know, and it's not supposed to be cold. You know, if I don't think the flavors are really there, that's more of like a subjective, artistic kind of thing. So for me, I kind of have to like subjectively approach that. Like, if they're supposed to be what's it called, the limes or whatever, if they're supposed to be an ingredient there, and I kind of taste it but not really, or not in the right amount that I think, depending on how comfortable I am with the kitchen, or if it's someone I know, I'll definitely tell them. If it's like a brand new place and the service is very casual and stuff, I might say something, be like, hey, you know, for me, I think that could have used more cucumber. And like, I totally get that this is probably the way you guys like it, but then I know for me next time, should I just say extra, or you know, much more of like, let's work together on how I can have a better time next time. Or was it a mistake? I don't know, you guys.
Too many variables.
Service is big for me, because I'm totally down with super casual service, but you know, there's still expectations that have to be met of like, when you come to my table, are you friendly, or are you just like, whatever, you don't care about me? Do I have to get up and get my own things? If I have to get up and get something and it's not supposed to be that way, that gets me really not upset, but like, definitely like, I noted that of like, damn, you guys don't have your shit together. Like, what's going on? Are you just short staffed? But like I said, that's why I kind of do my like 3 thing. Like maybe the server was off their game, came into work and they just got in a car accident. Like
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I definitely try to give benefit of the doubt. But if I go twice and it's the same experience, I'm like, then that's just the style of service there, and I need to get used to it. Or I have to just accept that next time I go in.
Plus minus.
Yeah.
Plus minus.
Like I was telling you at that one time at the coffee place.
Yeah.
Where I like ordered, and this was like their third time for me going there, and I still go there every once in a while, but I don't expect much anymore, and I actively avoid it. But I went and then I ordered very simple double espresso. I was like, I just want a double espresso shot, and because I was tired and we were trying to like keep going with our night, and it was like I had just told them the world was round for the first time. They're lost. And they're like, what do you want? And I was like, is this not like a coffee plate? Can I not just get 2 shots of espresso in a cup? And they're like, oh, okay. Go to pay. And they're like, oh, what'd you have? And I was like, well, that's already weird. What if I just like made something up? Like you guys, they're they're literally 6 inches away from you, but whatever. I was like, I had a double shot. And they're like, okay, ring me up. Paid like
25,
like 10, $12 or something. I was like, what the? I was like, this better be the best double shot of my life.
Cold flakes.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And I got like maybe an ounce and a half of espresso.
Double. Nice.
And I was like,
super concentrated. And
before I even had it, I was like, are you sure that's mine? They're like, yeah, it's a double. And I was like, well, I just paid like $16. And I tipped 20% on whatever that was because I want you guys to make money and have a good day. So like, nah, I never do that. 99% of the time I would just be like, okay, and probably never come back.
Maybe your style.
But this was like their third, and I was like, no, I'm not. I want my money back then if that's your double shot. And then all of a sudden there was like this argument between the people working there, and I was like, this is not a complicated order.
Do you guys not work?
Do you guys, like, there's no training happening here? And it was my 3rd visit of like bad customer service in a row, and so like I'm already frustrated, and then it turned out that they always do double shots, but that like the cashier didn't know that, or like then they were trying to blame me, and I'm like, no. I told you what I told you the same thing I told him.
Yeah.
So you guys have bad training. Yeah. And then they looked at me crazy, and I said, either I'm gonna get more espresso or I want my money back. I will not drink that for $16.
For $20.
Whatever it was. And they looked at me crazy, and I was just, staying as calm as I can. I'm not exactly the most calm person when I get hot. But
when you need fucking 2 shots of espresso,
but I was like, guys, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Yeah. Like, you see this, right? Like, I know you guys are expensive, but there's no way you're that expensive.
You're not putting logic together.
And then a 3rd person came out, and it was either like the senior person, or I don't even think they were a manager. I think they were just like a little bit more like in the know. And they're like, so what did you order? I was like, I told them I want a double espresso. And they were like, and what'd you tell the cashier? And I said, I ordered a double espresso. And then the cashier said something like, well, I charged him for a double, because that's what he said. And the guy was like, okay, I know what happened. And then he explained that like they always do double shots. And so the barista person had just done me a standard, and the cashier person was newer and just thought to click the button twice. And I was like, okay, but I want 2.
Yeah.
I want what I paid for.
Yeah.
And he was like, no problem, got you. Figured it out. And I was just like,
rough.
Man, dude, that was, but that's like an experience where I'm like,
yeah.
The next time I went back was when we were just there the other day.
Oh, that was the same spot?
Same place. Oh. And that experience was at least 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow, okay.
But, I mean, there's so many good places here in SAC that, like, I'm not going to waste my time on...
Especially on coffee.
Yeah.
And that's not some...
Especially when No, right? It wasn't like I was like, oh, can I get...
$1.75.
Can I get a latte, but, like...
Yeah, oat milk.
Double oat milk. It was 2 espresso shots.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I would say that's a more accurate representation of how I judge a place and deal with them, and how I think that can be helpful for other people. Is if it's your first time, maybe have a little extra patience, and especially if you walk into a crowded restaurant, you gotta just be patient, dude. And it's tiny, or if you're hungry when you walk into a crowded restaurant, I would say it's 100% fair to be like, so are you guys like kind of behind? Like, because we're hungry, and like from the second we sit, when do you think we're actually gonna get our food? You know, or when from when we order, you know, what's the lead time? And, you know, be honest with yourself too, of like, I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
And I'm walking to the restaurant. If I walk in and I see it full, I should move on.
But shit, nobody ever gets this kind of training or like, you know what I'm saying, instruction.
Yeah,
on
like a regular
etiquette,
customer.
Because the varying, like the restaurant world in, you know, even coffee places, like even, especially coffee places nowadays, they're so eclectic and they're so varied in everything from service to food to timing, like, and like you said, it's subjective. So guy can be like, my seating is 4 hours.
Yeah, we've definitely gone through, and I think are coming to the end of like a mini transformation period at restaurants from being like very standardized about how they are, about every Italian place does the same, every Japanese place does the same, to now it's like, oh well, you can have northern Japanese food, or oh, did you want southwestern Indian food?
Yes,
you know, and
more nuanced.
And with that has come along more specialized people who are focusing more on different areas of the restaurant than what used to be in the past, where it was very standardized. Now it's much more nuanced, like you said, where, well, I'm going to focus on this one tomato dish from Korea because I'm really passionate about the way we do those, and we're going to try and have that aspect in every little part, and I want it to be like a, you know, the Japanese, what's the thing where you sit down at the bar?
Tommy Vance and shit.
Yeah.
Like
you know,
on the floor.
And like
those
that's what I want to do. And it's unusual, but that's what I'm doing. But then you have the customers who, they're not really there yet. Because, you know, they don't read, like, they don't follow a million Instagram pages about food and stuff like that. Like, they're bringing their own experience. So that's definitely something that I think not just myself, but other restaurants that choose to be a little bit unusual have found challenging to manage the guest experience when they come in and still provide as much as the guests would expect, but still be unique at the same time. It's a hard bridge to gap.
I don't understand that. The more I think about those things, and I'll get to the little article that I was reading earlier, but it pertains to a lot of this, but just kind of the understanding food culture. And I always go back to that because I'm a big questioner, or whatever you want to call it, of stuff like that and how it came to be, and trying to identify those things. And it's very broad because food, like we always talk about, worldwide, everybody does it, everybody eats it, everybody has their own theories, everybody has their own experiences. Now, you know, kind of getting, you know, back into the micro in now California, now in Sacramento, now trying to dissect that and just see the different variables and the different, you know, little nuances. It is strange because nobody ever gets, you know, like I said, schooling or any type of guidance on food, and they don't need to. But as you know, we're having these interactions with human beings, and I bring up the Yelp thing because, you know, it is subjective to a certain point, but then there are baselines to certain people like you. Like there's a baseline. Food cold, supposed to be hot. Yeah, that's kind of like, everybody could agree with that. Vice versa. Those little baseline things, but that's still not considered like an overall, like this is what everybody should understand. Because like we talk about, this kind of knowledge or education about, you know, food systems and food restaurants never get out to the public, and your only resource is to whatever experiences you have. And then on top of that, putting a situation like a Yelp and the type of culture we have surrounding food, customers always right. You have various TV shows in the last 15 to 20 years that always, you know, pushes a food critic and being critical, and then, you know, demanding food. And we become a little over hypersensitive, especially the last couple of years, you know, where people feel, lack for a better word, triggered. So you could equate that to, well, I just want my food now, I'm deserving of this, I'm entitled. And there's kind of that whole situation. Not to say that happens a lot, but I know that there's a certain shift in energy where, like you said, somebody's willing to just go out on a limb and knows that, oh, I could get on Yelp and try to trash these dudes. It's like, oh, I'm gonna Yelp. It's like, in interest, it's like, yo, without this, what was it before? Like, you could say whatever your piece is, Or there's those stories you hear of, you know, chefs like, oh, you know what, here, how much you pay? Write a check, get the fuck out of my restaurant. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And there's that. And are we losing that, or is there some sense of losing that? And then we're curving to, you know, customers so far to the point where you lose sense of your business. That's why when you really say like, oh, I've harvested a vibe, an idea, and an ethos of how I do things, and I'm sticking with it, win, lose, or draw. I can't say that restaurants have that. I mean, I'm speculating. I would hope that that's the case, but this is a business. Anybody could run it the way they want to. But saying that is courageous because you're in the service industry, and it's the most criticized one in a lot of ways, just because what Yelp is, like 90% of that shit is restaurants. Nobody goes on there like, I mean, they will go on there for like, I'm gonna go try to find a mechanic or shit like that. For the most part, that's a fucking food app.
Basically,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I like how you said all of that, because I don't think it's win, lose, or draw. I think it's just you're betting on winning. Mm-hmm. And like, I am going to win this way.
Yeah. But you take the loss,
you will,
like, well, whatever. But
I will
obviously
also,
my wins are.
I will also like.
I've harvested this.
If this way doesn't work, I lose.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, if it did, like if the way I was doing things started losing, I would change.
True, but it was only in the matter if you're taking L's on L's. But the fact that you're seeing
I take every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just happened that night from someone else. We got a 5-star review, and all these things pop up on my phone because I'm logged in, so I can change the hours and stuff. And it's like, do you want badges? I'm like, whatever, fine. You know, I can't avoid it. Great. So, you know, I see them immediately now, which is fortunate and unfortunate. It's nice when they're good because I get to share them with the staff immediately. Like, hey, remember that table 9 that was like hella cool at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And then we had that like asshole at 7.
Yeah.
At 7 tonight. Well, here, that table, whatever, just left us another 5-star review. And with like 16 out of the last 15 or 15 out of the last 16 reviews we had on Google are 5 stars.
That's what I'm saying.
The 16th one is a 4-star. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then it's even more, you know. So we take solace in that of like, we're not going to be for everybody. And that's what I tell them too, is like, we're not going to be for everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't have mushrooms on the menu right now, which people like sometimes lose their mind about. I don't give out free bread.
Yeah.
With the bread appetizer that we do, we serve it with marinara. We don't do the balsamic vinegar thing, or balsamic vinegar and oil thing.
I'll take spumoni too, please.
Yeah, so people just order stuff,
yeah.
And you know, and I, along with tell my staff that like, look, we're not for everybody, which means the addition to that is, which means we have to educate people when they come here about what's happening and what we do. And why we do it, so that they can partake in the experience, not just feel like we're just doing whatever the hell we want. We don't care about you. It's not that we don't care about you, the diner. It's very much more like, this is what we truly care about making and doing, and we wanted to share that with you. Yeah. And we think we do a better job with the stuff we really care about, rather than just doing whatever.
What you would like.
Yeah.
Or what the status quo
is. Like right now we have the Parisian JUNKIE thing I was telling you about a while ago.
Yeah.
That has like become, I think, probably the highest selling like seasonal pasta that we've done.
Nice.
And I mean, it is arguably Italian. It was a Parisian JUNKIE, prosciutto, interestingly enough, invented by the cook of Catherine de Medici. Italian guy. He was in France when he did it, but they are called Parisian JUNKIE.
Italian guy. There you
know, and people have been super into it. You know, some people are interested in the history lesson when they ask me, or I get a chance to tell them. And some people are like, it just tastes good, bro. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like that, fine.
You get both.
You know, but it's definitely when you break it down, that's a super French dish that we're French. Serving, because it's like butter sauce, Parisian JUNKIE made with butter and egg, and then what else is in there? Oh, all kinds of onion and you know, blanched. You know, nothing about that dish is Italian except for the word gnocchi. Which is cool. You know, it's showing me that we're definitely we're building our customer base that's like that we're starting to get known for the right things that I want to be known for. Of like, this guy's he's just making food. Yeah. He's making pasta.
He's Italian, but he's making.
It's an Italian guy, but he's just using what's here.
You're transcending the initial box.
And picking from other stuff. So it's only taken 8 years, 7 years to finally start getting to that point. But it shows to me that at least we're on a path that's going to work for the majority and make us money. And
Yeah.
Along with some other side projects that we want to start doing, which is cool.
Well, you still get to be creative.
But that's the thing about win, lose, or draw is I decided this is the way I want to do it. Maybe more like 4 or 5 years ago, I really committed to I'm going to start doing stuff like this. And either it's going to work or I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah. Because you got to die on your fucking sword. Like,
I'm in charge here. If I wanted to make what someone else wanted, why be in charge? I should just go work for someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
That's the cool part is the silver lining in food in the art world and the creation side is the fact that you get to be creative and see that dish fucking flourish. Because now you're like, this isn't no longer your...
It always feels nice to get a compliment, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And my compliment is that we're getting busier and busier. So... Nice. I guess, at the end of it, super bummed that guy had a bad time, that his family had a bad time.
Yeah.
Can only hope that they come in again and have a drastically different experience. But I'm not in control of what other people do. I can only control myself.
Very nice. Yeah, so speaking of that, I came across articles a couple of weeks ago, but there was this guy, it's on my phone, but I'm trying to recollect it by memory. So basically this dude openly admitted, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of business owners or, people in the industry that do maybe some form of this, but he was talking about, I Google people when they make reservations, and then
I saw this.
Okay, so
keep going. This is the best thing ever.
But so you read something like that. It might have been the same article, I'm pretty sure. But so this guy comes in and is like, I did this at this restaurant. I started doing it heavily. I would, kind of check and see what they've done, and if they have done a bad review, or I kind of see it in distaste, or whatever, subjective way he saw it, he would make a choice of like, hey, you know what? We are actually closed for plumbing. We won't be able to service you. So sorry for that.
I heard he was even more direct than that of like, you can't come
or
because you're a disrespectful customer.
There you go. See, but then there's the argument of, well, this is my restaurant and I would consider this my home. So therefore I get to decide who comes in and out, which I totally understand. And there's a right to that.
Every business has the right to refuse service.
That's true. See, but with that though, do you have to pay for that?
No,
I
can just do it. Okay. It's a private place.
Because why do some of those places have the actual sign, and it makes it seem as if you have to pay for that?
Every county has different rules, right?
There's
so maybe if you post it, then
you're out of guilt.
Well, I think across the states you can refuse service to anybody.
Okay.
But with other rules that I've seen, I could see situations where maybe if it's posted, then like if it ever went to court, because like you physically threw them out, let's say,
and it's like, well, I didn't see a sign.
Then you could be like, well, I have something posted that says I can refuse service to anybody. So legal terms are much different than reality.
Yes,
than
exactly.
the commonplace.
That's what I'm thinking.
So I could see county by county basis how just having some little sign like that just adds a minute level of security to if something got volatile.
Very true.
But I don't have to serve people.
Yeah.
I don't have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically, I do. De facto, I have to.
Yeah.
But legally, a business doesn't have to make money. You still got to pay all the fines and everything.
See, so that's what I'm saying. So culturally, we just kind of got
culturally,
into this whole...
people just believe you have to do whatever, and
Yeah.
that's what I was saying is the challenge of like the nuanced restaurant or the restaurant that's like trying to be a little bit more new age with this new age line of thinking. Is the older way was people just come in like you make whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
And the customer is always right.
Right.
And one of the best things I ever heard was in culinary school. It was the customer is not right. Mm-hmm. They don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
And I remember that being very powerful and just kind of like putting it in my back pocket. And then through my experiences, being like, you have to please the customer, but the customer is not always right. They don't even know what they want half the time.
Most of the time they don't.
Yeah.
Especially if they've never been there, so they're experiencing you for the first time.
I remember so many orders of like, can I get my steak cooked Pittsburgh well done? Now, people, I would argue a lot of people don't know what Pittsburgh meant. When I heard it, I didn't even know what the hell that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh means black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you also do that well done? You cannot.
Yeah.
Right? So that's like an example. Or one person came in and they wanted their scallops cooked through, but not well done. And it's like those are mutually exclusive. Like I can't do both.
Yeah.
But I see it as luckily I've always seen it as an opportunity for me to either educate or now that I'm in a position to where I can just go out and talk to the person and be like, hey, I don't really understand what you want. Let's work together. Let's collaborate. Let me explain to you what Pittsburgh means. Let me explain to you what cook through means.
Yeah.
You know? Or in the past, it was more of like, well, I have to use my best judgment. It was very much like being an artist when, let's say you go to some designer and like, I want my home mid-century, modern, eclectic, gothic.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a designer, you have to be like, well, gothic none of those things make
yeah.
sense.
So you want
but okay, you have to use your own interpretation. Like they're just telling you information. They don't know what it means, and it's up to you as the artist, up to you as the creator, to kind of decipher. And then that's like your expression, right? So that part's kind of fun. Now that I have the power to just like go up to the diner and be like, this doesn't make sense. Let's work together. I don't think you know what you're asking for. You know,
I don't think you're very clear. Let's rework this out.
Or a lot of stuff about allergies now.
A lot of that.
Because that became, I have secondarily found out that it became a mode for people to say their dislikes. They would just say it's an allergy, because then they were like, well, then I know for sure that they won't do it.
Yeah.
But then, you know, they say they have a dairy allergy, but butter's okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
dairy,
contradictory. Yeah.
Butter has milk solids in it. So now I take the opportunity to go out in the dining room and be like, hey, are you actually have a dairy allergy? And 90% of the time, they do not.
Yeah.
And then on the off chance that they do, it's an opportunity for me like, hey, just so you know, butter has milk solids in it. Yeah. Are you sure you can have that? Because if you tell me that you have a dairy allergy, I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah.
And then sometime, even of that last 10% that turns out to be an allergy, I kind of don't think it is most of the time, because then it's usually, well, as long as they only have a little bit of it. I'm like, you know, man,
you're messing with fucking life and death.
Yeah, I'm not gonna now I've gone a step further, and like the second you told me you have an allergy, I'm not playing with it. Yeah. So either you can order something else, or you don't have an allergy, and you tell me, because the health, and I just blame the health department.
Yeah,
and,
that's strict.
And my inspector has told me to do the same, because no one's gonna call the health department.
No one ever does.
And she's like, just push them back and tell them that you can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's because
and actually I cannot. Yeah, legally, when someone tells me they have an allergy, I have a whole different set of precautions I have to take. Yeah, you know, to protect myself. And so most of the time, then people are like, "Well, I'm not actually allergic. I'm on this new diet," or "I'm not actually allergic. The truth comes out. I've never been diagnosed, but I've noticed I don't deal well with it."
I read this in an article, and I just want to
update it. Sometimes I read it, and I really don't want to mess with it. I'm like, okay, that's fair, but just so you know, when you say allergy, I'm not giving it to you. Yeah. Now, if you're going to tell me you don't have an allergy, that's on you.
Yeah, and it's just preference.
That's you telling me that you do not have an allergy. Yeah. You know? And then that's been helpful too, and I've had great response to it every time of people, like, they come back. If they have an allergy, they definitely come back, because they're like, you don't fuck around. Yeah. I could tell when you were talking to me that you were serious. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want you to die. I don't want to. What right do I have to send you to the hospital?
Exactly. And that puts me and my business in jeopardy. Yeah. So, and there are, situations stated as such that, can,
even the people that turns out to be like a diet or a dislike, they then start bringing their people who have allergies, and like, hey, this guy takes it for real. Yeah, exactly. I told him that this, and it just expands my market. Yeah. But I forgot where we started this.
I'm talking about that guy that was, Googling.
Dude, that guy is awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so you stand for something like that.
That was totally like the guest Yelp that we always wish existed, but we don't know how to regulate. Yeah. He just did it manually.
He did.
Yeah. He said, oh, you're making a reservation? Cool. I'm going to look you up on Yelp. Yeah. Oh, you've been like really distasteful and I think he was very clear on like, if they have a bad review, that's not enough. Yeah. They have to have like a review where they like start attacking,
personal, or things aren't lining up, or it's just kind of banter.
It wasn't that, it was just personal, whatever. Yeah. He decided arbitrary. He did a little bit of research of like, oh no, this person's just super disrespectful wherever they go. And I'm super into it, because that's like standing up for your team. True. Even this guy, when he was here, I didn't find out anything was really happening until they were about halfway out the door, and I was bummed because I'd heard he was disrespectful to my staff, and I was like, you guys, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Just come get me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna let someone talk to you guys like that. Exactly. And they're like, no, we're fine. I'm like,
yes.
If you truly believe that you were fine, fine. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. I just want you guys to know, if you say someone's disrespectful to you, I will not accept that from a customer.
Don't take it on your back.
Yeah.
Like, just give it to me so you can just continue.
Give it to me because I would rather you doing your job.
Yes, exactly.
You know, let me do my job. Yes, exactly. Let those people go.
Yeah.
I don't care about them.
See, so when I was reading the article, it did have both. I don't know where I stand officially, but they did have two sides of the argument, because it was like, he was like, yeah, I did it, you know, here. And yes, there would be times I would, you know, at my own accord, like, you know, read things, and I would make my own judgment on there. And then the reporter or the interviewer was bringing up the idea of, you know, like, oh, well, then you are now in charge of, you know, deciding, and you are the end all be all. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, it is my restaurant. And I mean, and I could see it that way. But also I've kind of come across a couple different things about like this concept of social credit score.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is great.
See, so my thing is, and that's a slippery one, because I could see it, but it's going to be strange because it's going to be based off of a lot of this digital shit. That's the only way you're going to be able to figure it out, right? So, and my thing with digital stuff and Yelps and shit like that is because it's losing its context. It loses a lot of the nuances. I keep on using that word.
You are preaching.
And that's what sucks, is because you're not getting the full story. I mean, so when that happens, yes, I think in its own right, but it's very slighted in the idea that this person and what they have online is very, it's just a minor representation
of their world.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
It's just like an Instagram post, you know, or a Facebook post. It's doctored.
Exactly. It's doctored up. So that's why you think it's like, okay, if we're going to be interacting and making these choices, and don't get me wrong, this is just food at the end of the day. It's not life and death, but it's the precedent that's being set, because now if we're in this, you know, social credit score type situation and we're making snap judgments based on stuff like that, to me, it's going to ultimately curve even more behavior. I don't know how or what. This could be something of, you know, this isn't like a worldwide thing where every restaurant's doing it, but now think for a second that anybody, like I remember, you know, working in restaurants and seeing, you know, like reservation pads and all the guests, and of course there's a lot of restaurants that take notes on guests. That's common. But now to get into the mode where, oh no, I can seek this person out as a call, so far to the point where I can actually find them personally, that's where the line kind of becomes strange, because as human beings, great, but also shitty at the same time. And all it takes is, you know, a chef that's feeling a certain type of way, and that potentially could go haywire. Not to say that has happened, but now that's where we kind of get into this, well, it's just based off of that. And we're kind of losing the whole notion of, at least to me, what I would consider what the food dining situation is. It's just really like, hey, I'm planning to take a chance on your food, and I'd love to, you know, experience what you have, vice versa. Let's make this happen. But now with the invent of the digital situation, like you could just be on your P's and Q's, like, let me look this dude up. Oh, you know what? Oh, I don't like, oh, he's that political, that kind of, see, and then it could easily slip in there. And that's what I'm thinking is like, I'm only against it for that matter, because I am of the proponent that humans ruin a lot of things.
Yes.
In concept, in theory, it makes total sense. But for that situation, it would be unfortunate, because who knows why and what people want to go to a restaurant for. But to have that judgment out the gate beforehand, I don't like it, but I don't blame him, because he is in his own right. So I'm straight dead center in the middle, at least for this variation. What's your take?
Okay, I'm a super fan of what he did, and I do not mind how he did it at all. It's probably, I'm never going to do it. It sounds like way too much work. But I like that the option for him is there. Okay. The part I get worried about is like the social credit score, like you were saying. I worry about if this catches fire, someone's going to come in and figure out how to make money on it, right? So someone is going to create some kind of I mean, even on some of the reservation apps, they have it.
Exactly. Like it's already happening.
Like Square, you know, if you, you know, Square tracks your phone number and credit card. You put it in at one Square place, Square saves it. So you go to another Square thing.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it doesn't even ask me if you want a printed one, just emails it to you automatically if you said yes somewhere else. And what I worry is about some kind of social credit score, or some kind of third-party tool tracker, guest tracker tool that assigns ratings to people, because when things are taken so far away from the context that they were created in, they can be misseen or misunderstood. You know, let's say Joe Schmo goes into a restaurant, has a bad time, runs a red light the next day because he was upset. And, you know, let's say like 3 or 4 things, a series of unfortunate events happens for him and he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But then, like, I worry that then, you know, he tries to make a reservation for me and I see, oh, well, your score's only 100. I'm not letting your ass in.
Exactly.
And then that's also a demerit against him, right? So then it's like, because this guy just was unlucky or just was at the wrong place at the wrong time a couple of times, now what, his life's ruined? You know, because then what do we do? Then we're all just fake as fuck the whole time to keep our score up.
I mean,
you know?
isn't that what social media is?
Yeah, well, then we end up in a situation, though, where instead of it just being social media, that's like, has ramifications on, like, your financials, and it has ramifications on, like, your standing with the government, you know, and stuff like that. And,
it's all encompassing, man.
I worry about where it could go, like you were saying. So I'm a total fan of it the way it is in this moment. I wouldn't want it to get any more advanced. I would want, like, if I wanted to start doing it, I would want it to be, I have to go find this stuff, you know, because then it's fair. Yeah. You know, it's fair to the guests because they decided to put it online. When you post stuff online, that's the public space.
Good point. That is a good point.
Know? Yeah. That's what, as far as I understand, that courts have decided when you put stuff on social media, that's the public
domain. Yeah.
That's public domain. No matter how many people you've blocked from you, whatever, dude, if they get to it eventually, it's public domain.
See, and that's what we're seeing now. So anytime there's ever that instance where, hey, I'm gonna cancel you, and then the people that are canceling end up being canceled, and so on and so forth. This becomes this kind of weird cycle.
I worry about the snowball effect of that.
See, this restaurant's 400 over only.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, you're not even looking. Nope. This, if you're not 400, then
you can't come in.
This is a 150 and minus, so
which,
you're here.
You know.
I mean, there is that now.
There is that
but
now.
It's not.
But it would be so much more documented.
Yes.
You know, which I worry about because it's like so many things are already exclusive and stuff like that, more so than I wish they were now. And maybe that's just my viewpoint. Maybe I'm the minority. I hope I'm not because I'm always trying to appease to the majority, you know, and I believe I'm in the majority of more middle line thinking of like man, people have bad days, you know. We should band together as a community to help them, not well, they're fat now,
ostracize them
because they had one bad day, they're a pimple, just fucking get rid of it. Like,
exactly.
No, man, like you don't just cut off the part of your skin that had a pimple on it.
That
you
person is us.
You put some cream on it or whatever. You
we're all
wash
one.
It, you know, we're all one. Yeah, and the more that we could all kind of be a little bit more cohesive with each other, a little bit more supportive with each other. God, it gets so much better so much faster.
But that's what's crazy. So this is what makes the food industry interesting because that's the one place you can do it. That's the one shit that brings people together. There isn't really a lot of industries where you're able to really do that and also be able to have the possibility of being able to interact like that, which complete strangers over some food, whether it's good or bad. And that's just between each other versus the people in your party and even people in other parties. That's the one thing. So that's why with the ideas we're talking about, I'm with you. I'm like, I wouldn't want to see it that way, but to be honest, I think it's only now that people are realizing, like what you said, oh no, when you put it on the internet, that's public domain, and you live and die by that. And people are finding that now after posting for 10, 20 years. So people are like what we've seen in social media. Oh, hey, in 2007 you said this, so you can't do this.
Can you imagine being judged on? When 2007, I was graduating high school.
There you go.
If I was judged on something like that for the rest of my life, oh my god.
Well, shit, if we're creating a universe kind of that is okay with that and cooperating, then it just becomes the momentum idea. We're like, you know what, that does make sense. I don't want any of that. It's like that is some absolute thinking, and that is another way of fucking...
Absolutism is horrible.
Yeah, that is not the way this is supposed to be.
Then why do we even have prisons? Why?
Oh,
what's the point?
Opening a can of worms.
I'm opening it on purpose because it's like... only because someone said something to me the other day about like, oh, you would not, and I was like, why not? People serve their time, right? That's what the people have decided is a fair amount of time to be rehabilitated. Well, people don't ever change. I'm like, the fuck is that?
Then why even do that then? Why don't even have
that prisons? Statement is so crazy to me because it's like Okay, what about you 10 years ago? You were the same person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you know, now you're just being... I'm like, what do you mean I'm being extra? People go to prison for like 25 years. Yeah. You don't think they changed a little bit? And then all of a sudden they like...
They'll get a story online to corroborate it. And like, look, see, look, this is what happened. But it's like, what
people
about
change in like 2 months sometimes.
We don't even know what the fuck we're doing.
Or I'm like, how about you 20 years? Well, I'm only 30, bro. So 20 years ago I was 10. Of course I was different. Yeah. I'm like, exactly.
So then, but
you think all of a sudden you stop growing when you're 18?
Yeah.
So it just goes along with my like have patience with people, and like even if it's the table next to you, being like a bunch of tables are like, oh, they were impossible, and like of course that feels good in the moment, but on reflection I was kind of like, you know, like we definitely had a hand in failing that table of service in one way or another, and I'll look it up and so you can attach it somewhere. But there's a restaurant up in Seattle in like a rural area that they have a system where the first person who talks to that table gives the table a number 1 through 5, 1 being lowest, 5 being highest of like where they're at mentally, and their goal is always to have everyone leave at 5. Whether they're breaking up at their table, whether they got in a car accident on the way there, and we're all, you know,
argument,
and their goal is to like we believe it's within our ability to get everyone to a 5. We do not always succeed.
That's pretty cool.
But our goal is, at minimum, our goal is to get them up to a 3 at least, or if they're at a 3, up to a 4. And I'm like, that's a really good mindset to take, of like, because food, everyone has to eat it. So they're coming in to have a good time to start. So there's no reason they shouldn't leave happier. And I like that thought process. And it's definitely something that I use for me. I think every table should be happier when they leave than when they come in. And in my everyday life too, of like, let me hold open the door for you. Because not because it's just polite, but I think it's going to help your day get better. And then you can turn around and make someone else's day better.
Pay it forward? Going on over here.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm just always on that kind of mental states manifest themselves with the energy around them.
That's the ethos, man. I'm telling you, that's
I
agree with that.
There's so many things that we can't even perceive, you know. So there's different, you know, and that now we can study and, you know, become a science nerd too. Like radio waves, we can't see those, but they have influence on you.
A lot.
You know, even if it's just what you listen to from them, they definitely, you're going to tell me if a radio wave goes through my head, it's going to make no change.
I mean, it's around us. The power of suggestion and the power of influence is every day. Like how you make choices. One is to believe that, oh man, I'm the one doing it all, man. I'm coming in with a clear mind. And we all know, you wake up sometimes, am I driving the ship, or is I'm just on the boat and it's just floating? And you know, day in and day out, you pick your spots. Sometimes you're floating, sometimes you feel involved. But for the most part, no one knows what the fuck's going on. So that's why when it comes down to, and you broke it down easy, we can acknowledge that eating food is some form of nourishment, and there's going to be some form of enjoyment, whether you're doing it by yourself or you're in a restaurant. So knowing that, and that is the baseline, then it can go a couple different ways from that point. But if your standard at a place of business is to 1 through 5, that's one of the most honest things I've ever heard. If you can get a whole entire business or restaurant to kind of adhere to that basis, that's truly that is worth recognizing, I think, because you're telling a server who is just you don't go to server school. You just come to a place. And your job is to help.
My servers, they just showed up and now.
That's what I'm saying, right? But then now to have that implemented, and that's not even anything you could really get in books and education. That is just a person-to-person thing. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like that is your fellow man, that is your fellow woman, that is your fellow person, your people. Yeah, let's try to get them out of here with a smile. And that is at its base is very simple. As much as we were talking about all the online stuff and everything, it's just the fact that we are so in that mode. And when you bring up patience, that's one of them things that in today's world, and we live in California, so it is magnified in the idea of this bustling and hustling, like, oh man, I gotta go to go, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. It's like hurrying up to go nowhere, in my opinion. And I think that is a culture thing, but I also believe that culture can change. And it starts with, small things like that, changing the energy around you, As much as that sounds like foo-foo shit and it sounds woo-woo, there's no other way to kind of describe it, because if you have the intent, then that is ultimately what matriculates. And even if it's just a sliver of that gets to the person, that ultimately can have momentum. And that's kind of how we were able to get in places. I can't say for sure what's going on, but clearly I think having and calling people out online, I mean, there's always going to be that, and it is going to evolve. And I'm pretty sure there are third parties that already have something like that, and it will continue. But like I said, the food industry, you will never be able to eat a fucking digital Parisian gnocchi on your computer. So clearly, you're going to have that experience in person. So if we could work on our person skills, that'd be tremendous. And you, as a person, as a patron, you don't have to go anywhere to learn how to be in a restaurant. Luckily, places like yourself are willing to take on that in case it need be. If not, you can just enjoy a meal and never say anything. I think reading people is the key, but you have to be around them to do that. The more that we're living in the digital world and we're trying to make judgments based on people before they even walk into your restaurant, I think is the antithesis of what the whole point is. So, like I said, on that note, I found it funny. I found it intriguing because I was like, yeah, dude, finally, we got power. But then I remember in my head, like, seeing those situations or hearing about those situations of, in my restaurant, my food, my way. I was like, there's a way to do it, just person to person. And like you said, like having a imprint and having your stuff all documented online, and as we proceed forward, like all the shit I've said, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, I got a ticket, but I'm willing to stand by my opinions, and I'm willing to put it out there like that because I'll live with it, because I that's my truth until further notice. I'm not married to anything. I'm not married to the ideas of things. I'm always willing to have the conversation, and they are, convoluted. They are very messy, and I don't have any right answer. And to be honest, I don't know shit. I'm just asking questions, but it's all for the understanding of what is it that we're doing here, especially through food. Because I have questions. I'm questioning now, should we even be eating at this point? Was there a world before where we didn't have to eat? Because I look at that, it's like everybody learns nutrition that's a chef for the most part, especially in school. But how many of them actually, matriculate that to their everyday practice? It's like, it's just something you learn. Yeah. We don't know for sure because the motherfucking nutritionists maybe don't know. So it's like, whoa, this is a strange idea here, what we're working with. So.
Well, I like what you said about how you're just asking questions, and what it made me think of is like, in relation to that guy is, I like that guy's looking stuff up, because with that being dropped on people, now you don't know who's going to do that ever, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it holds people to a little bit higher standard of accountability and honesty. And in the end of the day, we're all just out here with questions, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I need an honest answer. Mm-hmm. I can't, if someone, when I was 5, told me 2 + 2 is 5, my world would be rocked for the rest of my life, right? Yeah. I can't function that way. And that's that's a simple example, but like every time that you don't give someone the honest truth answer, for whatever reason it is, maybe you don't want to, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But every time you give someone a half answer, half truth, a non 100% answer, they now have to function off some incorrect information. Yeah,
you're basing your relationship off of that.
When people come in and I walk by their table and I say, how is everything? And they say, oh, it's good, or it's fine. Now I kind of get a more like immediate, I can tell from how they say it. But sometimes I walk past the second time, still sit there, I'm like, hey, is everything okay? And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. And like kind of push them, because if I just walked away, it's fine. I'm great. Yes. Right? I'm the best.
Yes.
But that's not the truth. So then, I have to I'm like, hey man, I would rather you tell me that something's wrong so I can address it, because I make mistakes. And
reading it on
sometimes
Yelp
it's fine. Even if I do read it on Yelp, fine. At least I know.
Yes.
At least I know tonight, whatever. Oh, I have a great example for this too. But like, I need to know the truth so that I can improve.
Yes.
You holding back stuff is actually doing me a disservice. Yeah. Not just you a disservice, but also another person, And then eventually when I tell them something like that, then they're like, okay, well, I felt that my whatever was kind of salty or something. I'm like, okay, I appreciate you telling me. And then I don't I'm like, okay, I appreciate the feedback. Can can I get you like a happy hour cider or something like that? You know, I'm not going to take it off your bill because you thought, you know, it was slightly incorrect. It might be just the way I think it, you know, if you think something's grossly incorrect and you didn't eat it, I'm not going to charge you for it. You know, and sometimes they're right, and I go back and I try whatever arancini rice. I'm like, damn, dude, this stuff is kind of bland. I'm like, who made this? I'm like, and then like, did you? Oh, bro, I did forget to salt it. Or
did you taste it before you formed?
I didn't know we were supposed. And then boom, I find, you know, even in my small spot, there's a bunch of stuff that like I can't try everything every day. I'd be a million pounds. But like a good example was the other day, someone, you know, go past the table. Ask me, and they're like, oh, my carbonara's salty. And, you know, we hear this frequently, and we tell people, can you make it less salty? I'm like, actually, I can't. There's no added salt to the dish. And they're like, oh, well, okay, I'll do something else. And, you know, originally we were frustrated because it's like, dude, like, I can't do anything about that. Like, you know, it's hard when it's not your fault, but you have to accept the... And it's like, okay. And then like an hour later or something, I walked past and saw a piece of bacon, and I was starving, so I ate it. And it was the saltiest piece of bacon I'd ever had. I'm like, hey, yo, did someone spill salt on there? And they're like, no. And then, so we all got together, everyone tried it, you know. Even though I can't try everything, whoever's making it should be. And like I said, people make mistakes, people are in a rush.
Oversight,
You know, it happens. We all tried it, and we're like, dude, this bacon sucks. This is just salt. There's no flavor except salt. And then we adjusted how, unfortunately, the person had left already. They had gotten something else and were super stoked. And unfortunately, they had left already, so I couldn't go up and tell them, like, hey, man, just so you know, carbonara is my favorite thing here. I hope you come back. And, you know, we discovered that there was a problem, and I appreciate, you know, maybe next time I see him, I'd be like, hey, man, thank you. But you know, that person being honest to me allowed me to find a problem that I didn't know was there. You know, rather than just live in some fantasy where I'm like, they're stupid and wrong. You know, they don't even know.
It's that ego shit. You're like,
no, because whenever someone tells me something,
you have to take it for what it is.
I have to take it as 100% truth. You know, because I don't know them. I don't know them. I don't know that Sally is a serial complimenter and Bert is a serial liar. You know what I mean?
You're only getting this information in a microcosm.
I have no context on you as a person except to assume that you're going to tell me the truth. So yeah, when people tell me stuff, I'm grateful, you know? But yeah, you just got to be honest with your answers, because then that's like just another way that we're all helping each other. You know, like as we find out information, you should be sharing it truthfully. Like, hey, your bacon's hell salty, bro. What happened? You know, actually, that reminds me, I gotta call the meat company and be like, hey, yo. Another good example, the pork thing in California just happened, or just started going into effect. Now our bacon sucked compared to the stuff we used to get, because the stuff we used to get, they decided that they didn't want to comply with all the rules. They move up. They don't sell to California anymore. The best bacon we could get from our distributor, I was like, dude, this sucks. And he's like, I know, we're working on it with them.
We're sitting on a lot of returns right now.
Or like when I just got in a car accident, I was hella pissed off with the customer service I got. I went to my agent finally, and I was like, hey. And they were like, what? Oh my God, we are so embarrassed. That was unacceptable. And they reached out to the people that they had to reach out to, and, you know, now they're addressing it, you know. But even with the complaining, you know, there's definitely ways, like I think that I do, which is like complain in a productive way of like, this was my problem, and, you know, I want to let you know, rather than this is a problem and I want this now. And it's like, no, man.
Two different ways.
Just let people say, hey, I think this is wrong. I believe this to be wrong. This is this way, you know, and just so you guys know, is much different than I don't know, something is wrong and now I want extra money back, or, you know.
Well, like I said, I think it's slowly evolved to this combative idea. Out the gate, I think
it has slowly evolved to combative.
Because you're like, man, they're out for me, or man, I'm gonna get them.
Both sides. Both sides.
Like, it's
now they're just out to get me. Great example of this review. So I shrugged it off when they were there, because I was like, oh, they were total assholes to my staff. I don't fuck them, dude. I don't care. And then we looked at the ticket, and then they had only waited like 20 minutes, and we're like, fuck them, you know. it was only like a day later that someone finally told me, oh man, dude, that table, like I know I pocketed their order. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, well, and I was like, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
Yes.
I'm never going to be, unless you outright steal from me or do something horrible, I will never be mad at you. I might get frustrated and I might wish you had done it a different way, you know, but like I can't fix a situation that I don't know the reality of.
Yeah.
You know, because imagine I had gone out to that table, I'd have been like, fuckers, you only waited, you know, in my head. Actually, you only waited, you know, we only had you guys here for 30 minutes. Like, what's going on? And then they hit me with a, well, our server took our order an hour ago. I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. I only had 30 minutes. And then, and you know, then I had this huge disconnect where they're actually telling me the truth. And
then it becomes a bigger situation.
Well, yeah. Well, then we both think the other one's crazy, right? Yeah. And then that's how you like get in a real fight or things get escalated.
Yes.
And to be fair, the guy at the night at the restaurant, he did escalate things very quickly, and you know, whatever it is what happened.
Yeah.
You know, but
he would feel in his right that he did what was right.
For
he
sure.
might not agree, but then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, whoever's wrong, whatever happened, like let's just try to square it up.
I definitely wish I had the opportunity in the moment to go out there and be like, there's something happening. I would love to fix this for you. The only way I know how, I only know one way. I can only cook it so fast. I would love to cook you the food that we have. I wish I could go back in time. I cannot.
Yes.
I'm really sad for you that I cannot go back in time. I understand you're starving.
Yeah.
Can I have 10 more minutes to get you guys some food out here so you can eat and actually give me a just review on the food that we actually make? So, but you know, that time is gone.
Yeah.
So
and you move on.
I have to move on. Now I have a little bit more of the facts, so that's helpful for me to kind of know the truth of what happened, and even in stuff that like that too, you have to take it at face value. This is the experience that they had. We provided that experience. You know, how do we address?
Yes. How do we?
And that's how I move forward. Is like, okay, is there something that I need to do for you guys up front? Is there something that you guys need to do extra? Is there a tool? Is there some, you know, what can we do to avoid this scenario? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to make everyone a 5 when they leave.
Boom. Nice. P, tell them what they need to hear before you go off
it's already time, huh? That was
across
crazy.
The ocean.
We didn't even do mushroom facts or nothing.
Oh, I know. You got some? I know you got something. What'd you see on Nat Geo? What'd you see on Nat Geo?
Okay. Well, I showed you the Nat Geo video just so we could laugh about how like a more nationwide publication is taking note of it now. But related to mushrooms, I guess there's this stuff called slime mold, which is in its own kingdom. Okay, it's not fungi, but mycologists frequently also include slime molds. And this Japanese researcher team put a bunch of like oats on like just fresh, you know, like oat, whatever they're called, things on a board in the spots where like the Japanese cities are.
Okay.
And I guess this slime mold grew out from Tokyo one and mimicked the exact train station that it has. And they found that as it grew, it was very exploratory at the first, and then it started to like learn and be much more direct to the next ones, and not just like grow evenly. And then they were like amazed by how similar it looked to the train systems and subway systems of Japan. I thought that was super cool. So just an interesting, I don't know fact, but interesting
That's
thing.
An interesting bit of information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, you know, I think molds and fungi are definitely coming. It's almost like we're about to go into a stage that like other new materials have gone through in the past. So like, oh, someone made this new material. Can we use it to build? Can we use it for this? Can we use it for that? Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try, and it's like it's going to be in everything soon. You know, they already have like mushroom styrofoam or replacing styrofoam and stuff. So it's cool to kind of be able to realize that that's what seems like it's about to happen, and I'm excited to see what happens with fungi in the near future.
Oh, fungi is gonna like straight to the top. I think. I think it's gonna be the number one thing going on
because it produces fast too. So
yeah, and it doesn't take a lot.
It does not take a lot.
Things.
No,
yeah, so, there's a lot of different ones that function differently.
Yeah,
and they all function the same.
It's almost like we're in a stage where mushrooms can do anything theoretically. You just have to go find the right one. Wow. So it's intriguing for sure.
See, I'm thinking that this is just we're just telling you what we've been working on for the last
it could be
100 some odd years.
I'm just excited at the potential everyday use of mushrooms by people in the variety that's going to come in.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
What's up, Pete? Tell them what they need to hear, man. You're out to Italy. What's up?
Drink your water.
Yes.
Listen to listen. Be patient with your neighbors, with yourself. Be honest. Be kind. And I don't remember half of the things I say anymore except for drink your water.
That's pretty much the basis.
I think that's all of them. Yeah, be kind. Be kind. Drink your water. Patience. Listen to listen. Patience.
Yeah.
If everyone's doing good, you're doing good.
Nice. Polo's going to be out for a month. He's going to be in Italy. So, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. How do you say it?
Ciao.
Okay, give me like an Italian saying.
Oh, I don't know. Ciao, buon voyage. I don't know.
Oh, nice. Is that the accent you're rolling in there with, or what?
I don't know. Was it? And I think I mixed in. The hard part about the Latin languages is I've heard so many of them now. I just throw them all together and whatever comes out.
Oh, that's hilarious. Hey, when you're there, and this is what your second time?
I slip into Spanish instantly.
Okay.
And they're like, what? And then they keep up, and they're like, you're speaking Spanish. And I'm like,
close enough.
You got it, right? It's like when I say think thing, that's not a real think thing, but
say it enough.
Everyone always knows what I'm talking about. That's the point of communication, right?
50 years down the road, that is going to be in the dictionary.
That's going to be a think thing. Yeah, stuff's always getting added. I'm excited. Should be a good time.
Perfect. Hopefully we'll try to get a session in. If not, safe travels, and then I'll see you when you get back, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it. Nice.